I had a lot of customers. I sold customers directly from my own company. And I was deathly afraid of all my customers leaving me because I'm bringing a dairy from out of town into town, and the other dairy is very fine. And I was deathly afraid of my customers leaving me, but I couldn't go with them because they already had another guy out there. So I had to go with this other company.
What's going on, Kyle? Hey, thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Mike, I appreciate you sharing your story.
However, I could honestly say today, though, I wouldn't change it.
So a lot of the sales approaches that he talks about in his straight line sales approach is tone of voice and inflection of your voice and a lot of the different tonalities and pitches that you can use in your voice. And so I think this is actually a great approach. I couldn't actually imagine reading the printed version of this and not hearing the author's actual intent on, how he has his different voice inflections and tones when he's talking about different steps in his straight line sales approach. So I'd highly recommend the audio book, actually, if anyone's interested in doing that. So you can jam out to that while you're driving in the car and listen to Jordan Belfort while you're driving.
They have to love you. They got to love your product and love the business behind it.
Do you have to be a millionaire? Do you have to be a trillionaire? Do you need all kinds? It's just, you just need to be happy and to see a customer. The best thing is to see a customer, when they get something and they send you, it actually gives you a stomachache when you send something out, because nowadays, when it ships, they send you a tracking and you're looking at the tracking and they received their product yesterday. And the next morning, you're looking through your emails right away, early in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, you're in the office and you see an email from that person. First thing you thought, now what screwed up? Now what happened? And you start looking at the email and they go, "Dear Rich, you really did a nice job. I really appreciate it. The stuff came in and it was all looks pretty good. And it's all going to work. I'm just really glad that you took care of it." And I'm like, what? And if you believe in what you sell, that's what happens. And when you make a mistake, it's fine to make a mistake. I just made a mistake on 225 shirts. We put the wrong imprint on the back. We're reprinting them right now. Will that cost me an arm and a leg? Yeah. Will I learn from it? Probably not. I might, we are going to put some things in to make that not happen as much, start looking at, instead of just rushing through everything. Like, I don't know if I was trained at or what, but to start slowing down and looking at, the crosses on the T's and the dots on the I's, and slow down and eliminate mistakes, because mistakes cost you a lot of money and custom printed.
So Coach K talks about empathy. And if you guys remember Jay Williams, he was one of the better basketball players that came out of the Duke program. And Jay Williams was eventually drafted by the Chicago Bulls. And Jay Williams actually tells this story. I mean, two neat things about Coach K, right? Okay, so number one, I think it was after Jay Williams' sophomore year, he was highly sought after by the NBA and was considered to be, maybe one of the top picks, probably number one overall. And so he was going to go to the NBA. He was going to, quit school and head out. His coach called him up and he said, "Hey, before you go and make that decision, I just want you to think about this and think about if it's the right decision." And he just kind of stopped him and thought about, when you get to the NBA and you get that big contract, what does that mean for you? Okay. And Jay Williams had never thought about that. He's like, "Well, I don't know." He's like, "Well, what are you going to do with the money?" "Well, I don't know. I don't know, invest it." Like, he didn't have a plan. Okay. He had no plan. And so what Krzyzewski talked to him about was like, well, maybe you want to come back another year and maybe you want to finish your degree and then go into the NBA and still get drafted and take that time to get a team around you. He called it a board of people to help advise him in making a decision. Okay. People that he could trust, that were looking out for the business of Jay Williams, not just Jay Williams.
You got to have the man behind the vision in order to, make your brand stand out and to push you to further limits than other people.
And what I love about that, right, and this story that Coach K is telling with Jay Williams too, is like, I don't just care about you on the basketball court. I actually care about you as a person too, right? And kind of one of the neat things actually about college sports, which generally I like the pros better than college, but I might start liking college better because coaches have to adapt, right? Every year there's new players. So they have the team concept, but they're still having to be concerned for their players individually. And I just think that's neat because in one breath, it maybe sounds like Coach K is kind of just being like, hey, I want you on my team, so we'll be successful. But he's also giving this person an idea. So Jay Williams eventually comes back for that junior year. He finishes out the year, gets his degree, gets drafted. I think it was like number 3 overall, didn't go number 1. Got a big contract and everything, went off, finished the year with the Bulls, had a pretty good year, was on the up and up. 1 week after the season ends, he purchases a motorcycle, okay? And Jay Williams says, look, I kind of got off track. I got in the NBA, I got away from my family in college, got on this motorcycle, and I was speeding down the road, goes through a stop sign, truck almost clips him, barely misses him. And he said in that moment, it was like so quickly, the truck missed him and he started thinking, oh my gosh, I'll never do this again. Thank you, I'm still alive. And then he looks up and he sees a utility pole. And he tries to stop, motorcycle goes right in the utility pole. Ends his NBA career, just like that, just in that moment. When he's recovering in the hospital, who shows up? Coach K, right? Coach, I'm better now that you're here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough to come to care about me, even in this situation. And those words from Coach K meant a difference because now Jay Williams had to have a new life, a new career. He wasn't a basketball player. He had to adjust. And so coming back and learning and figuring out the business of yourself and who you are made a big difference. And that's empathy right there. When you have a coach that cares, a coach who's willing to go the extra mile, call you up, come see you.
I had a lot of customers. I sold customers directly from my own company. And I was deathly afraid of all my customers leaving me because I'm bringing a dairy from out of town into town, and the other dairy is very fine. And I was deathly afraid of my customers leaving me, but I couldn't go with them because they already had another guy out there. So I had to go with this other company. I didn't lose one customer. And it's because I went and talked to my customers. I explained them the situation I was in. I was straightforward with them. And I told them, what's happening, that their dairy's closing. It's owned by a big company, Land O'Lakes. They decided they're getting out of fluid milk. I'm going with Golden Guernsey. They're a good company. And then, after about 10 years, I went to Very Fine when they got bought out by Dean's. And then I was a Dean's guy because that other guy was out. And, because I never picked on them, but I also remember all my customers stuck with me. And I was like amazed at that. So you have to remember, people are buying from the human being, not the company house. It's the humans that work for the company. When you call a company and somebody's really nice to you and they take care of you, I don't care what the company is. You're just like, oh, that's a pretty nice person, pretty cool person to deal with. I know I got faith in them. I know they're going to do good.
Yeah. There you go. That's trust, right? Happy, fulfilling, productive, open, honest, communicating, shared vision, common goals, having confidence, right? Those are all the things you just hit up right there in that story, which is what's neat when you can story tell and then think about your success and what worked and what didn't work. And of course, nothing's going to work unless you work, right? John Wooden has said that. So hard work and ambition is going to get you success. All right, guys, that's it. The official close for this week. We'll see you guys later. Meaningful Trading Ideas Club.